Hello, everyone. We are here for another news roundup. We're going to talk about some of the top stories today and get your comments. We're taking your comments and questions. You can write to me on Twitter. @Lookner is where you can reach me. @Lookner on Twitter. Thanks so much to our moderators for being here. We got Angel Shark and Lady Edith and Danny James and Lizzie and Melissa McQueen and Sarah55 and Sarah Joy. I think I got everybody in the YouTube there, so thank you for moderating there. And also thank you for moderating Papa Bear and Sully over there on Twitch. Thanks for moderating there. Ooh, I have to do something real quick. I forgot to do something involving the air conditioning in here. Let me just do this really quick. Take 2 seconds. Good. Done. Let's see if the Facebook chat is fixed. I bet it's not. For like a week now on Facebook, if you watch a live video and on desktop, the chat does not update. You literally have to refresh. And they haven't fixed it yet. It's just amazing. Thanks to our viewers, also people like Duster Singer, Elizabeth Mendiola, and, oops, hang on everyone. What is that? That's not what I want. There you go. Sharon Heberling, Marcus Bell, Tartan Granny, Rosemary Randolph. Yeah, the Facebook chat is not fixed yet. It's amazing. It's amazing they can't fix it. Just incredible. Boinker is watching. Freedom is Pepsi or Coke. OG Jug, CJ, and others. Thanks for watching. Okay, let's begin. Okay, first off, the first thing I want to say on our news roundup is stop messaging me about Gaza. Israel and Gaza are not going to war again. Stop messaging me about it. It's not a huge crisis. What happened today is there was this controversial march in Israel, and there was this where some Jews were marching somewhere where Palestinians didn't want them to march. And there was a worry that it was going to blow up and there's going to be huge hostilities between Hamas in Gaza and Israel again. That has not happened. Now, yes, there were some balloons. There were some incendiary balloons launched from Gaza into Israel today. Right? So that happened, but there weren't any rockets today, okay? And then when Gaza launches balloons into Israel, Israel's got to do something in response. They can't do nothing. So they launched some airstrikes on Gaza, I think over the last couple hours, but nothing huge. And then maybe you'll see a few rockets from Gaza in response. In terms of what could have happened today, it's a lot better than other scenarios of what could happen today. So you can relax about Gaza. I see these headlines and these tweets being posted like, Israel attacks Gaza again. No, it's not an enormous deal. Things are under control. Okay? So you can relax for now about Israel and Gaza. It's not getting out of control. It's not going back right now where it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know where it's going to go in the future, but this was not unexpected. It was expected if this march happened, which it did, that there was going to be some response from Gaza and Palestinians elsewhere. We didn't see large-scale violence today. But since there were some balloons launched from Gaza into Israel, then you'd expect some sort of response from Israel, and you got your airstrikes, and then you might see a few. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few rocket launches coming from Gaza into Israel. But everybody can just relax for now. You don't have to message me and these alarmed headlines and tweets saying, "Oh my gosh, Israel's attacking Gaza again." Not everything is a disaster. And look, here's Parallel Universe, who's actually in Israel. So he's expecting that there might be some rocket launches from Gaza after the Israeli airstrikes, right? He said, look what he said. He said, what do you think, guys? Will there be a retaliation from the Gaza factions after the Israel airstrikes in Gaza? And if so, what will it be? I'm thinking, he says, there will be a coordinated barrage towards short or medium distances. So there might be some rockets launched from Gaza tonight. And then if there are, I'd expect to see a few more airstrikes. That's what they do. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon to have Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. And it's not uncommon to have, once in a while, a small burst of rocket fire from Gaza into Israel. I don't see this becoming some huge exchange of rockets and airstrikes right now. Things would have to change a lot for that to happen. It seems like it's going to this place where there's a little more back and forth, then it peters out for now. I should put up a sign behind me. Not everything is a disaster. Not everything is a crisis. So look, here's something about the airstrikes. Israeli Defense Force hits Gaza, terror targets after arson attacks and first rates and ceasefire. Okay, it happened. This Times of Israel. Israel carried out a series of airstrikes throughout the Gaza Strip early Wednesday morning in response to over 24 fires in southern Israel caused by incendiary devices launched from the coastal enclave. Not surprising that this happened after this march that happened today. I would expect something like this to happen. No Gazans were injured in the strikes, said the Hamas-affiliated Palestinian Media Center. The airstrikes came at the closing of a day of heightened tensions during which Israeli authorities allowed thousands of right-wing nationalists to rally through the Old City in the annual flag parade, despite threats from Hamas that the controversial demonstration would lead to an escalation. So I think all of this is to be expected. It was to be expected if the march happened that you'd have Palestinians doing something, and if Palestinians did something, you'd expect some kind of response from Israel. So fine, that's happened. So again, if we hear a few rocket alerts, I'm not going to be surprised. It's not a disaster. It doesn't mean we're going back to 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on it. And then right on cue, somebody just sent me a tweet about Israel bombing Gaza. I guess they're not watching this broadcast. Okay. So we'll move on to a different story now. Let's move on to a different story. What's going on with Southwest Airlines? Southwest Airlines flights are disrupted for a second time in 24 hours. One article I read right before coming on said that they didn't think there was a connection between the two disruptions. See, I hear about this and I start thinking like, oh, is somebody messing with their system like they messed with the pipe? Like, I haven't heard, no one's saying this was a ransomware attack. But when I first heard about this, I was like, are their systems getting attacked? Like Colonial Pipeline had a ransomware attack, and then there was the ransomware attack on JBS Meat Company. I haven't heard, I don't know if they've said what this is. So one question I have is this the result of some kind of hostile action against their system? So I want to talk about that for a second. Sean K says, what about nuclear meltdown in China? See, this is where I need my sign in the back to point to that says not everything is a disaster. There's no nuclear meltdown in China. Watch our video yesterday. In the news roundup, we talked about this for 15 minutes, and we explained how the French companies, 2 different French companies, which are working with China at this nuclear plant, say there's not a huge problem. There's an issue. We think we can handle it safely. Nothing's melting down. We did a whole segment on this yesterday. But this really big French energy company that's working with China directly on this plant said, we think we can fix it safely. That's not coming from China. That's coming from this big French company. So we did a whole segment on it yesterday. But everything's a disaster. Anyways, maybe we'll talk about it a little later. I've heard nothing new in the last day from what we heard yesterday. And from what I heard yesterday from the French companies working with China, it didn't seem like it was that big a deal. Thank you, Sean, for your support. This is odd. Hang on one second. Hang on one second here. Why is this not happening? So we have a new mod, Marcus Bell. I thought I already enabled Marcus Bell. Twice. Why is it not working? All right, well, I'll do it this way. I don't know why it didn't work when I did it before, when we weren't on the air. Thanks, Marcus, for helping out modding. I appreciate that. Very much so. Thank you, Marcus. Okay. All right, let's talk about this. Southwest flights disrupted for a second time in 24 hours. At one point, I think there was a ground stop today. This is New York Times. Southwest Airlines flights in the U.S. were temporarily suspended on Tuesday afternoon, the second major disruption to Southwest in less than 24 hours. The FAA said the airline had requested the nationwide grounding as it resolved a reservation computer issue. In a separate statement, Southwest said it had canceled nearly 500 flights and it blamed the disruption on intermittent performance issues with our network connectivity. What's that all about? The airline experienced a similar outage late Monday, which it had blamed on a third-party provider of weather data. It's kind of odd. So they're saying they had these major disruptions within 24 hours of each other, and they're saying it's completely different causes? I mean, because it's like rare to have one of these disruptions. To have two on within 24 hours, and they're saying no, they're not connected at all. I don't know, maybe they're not. It seems kind of odd, but let me know your thoughts at Lookner on Twitter. Bradley, I haven't heard that American Airlines had the same problem. If it was something else, would they be required to say that? I don't know. I don't know how their reporting requirements are. Ugh. Hey, guys. John Curry, take the anti-vax stuff to the Kooky Person channel, okay, John? John, take it to the kooky person channel, or you're going to the hidden channel. Enough with the kooky anti-vax stuff, John Curry. Ridiculous. Go to the kooky, nutty, idiotic person, anti-science, 200 AD person channel. But take it away from here. It's insulting to everyone here to have to even read that post. So take the kooky anti-vax stuff somewhere else. I don't really have the patience or the time for it to waste 5 seconds on it. You should know better. John Curry. That's John Curry who enlightened our discussion today with that. Okay. Ugh. More toxic political stuff. Okay, let's do this. Fine. Hold on. I was looking for more on this Southwest thing. CNBC had this. Southwest cancels 500 flights after a second technology issue in 2 days. 2 days. Today it struggled with connectivity issues after a technical problem with a weather data supplier delayed hundreds of flights. But these are not related, they say. While Southwest's issue Tuesday appeared to have only briefly impacted its systems, longer-lasting technology issues or outages can be costly. Delta estimated an August 2016 data center outage led to about 2,300 cancellations. Over 3 days, that costed about $150 million. Okay. Well, I'm sorry for anybody who might have gotten stuck on a Southwest flight today. You can write to me on Twitter @Lookner. That's where you can reach me. Gosh, this story was terrible. We should discuss this. Really bad. Claire Bayer says, I wonder if they refund the passengers for flight delays cancellations. Hang on one second here. I don't know if they give you anything for a cancellation. Maybe if the delay is long enough, I don't know. A fair question. Let me just do one thing real quick here. Let me do one thing real quick. Where is, hang on one second here. Okay. Why can't I find a more recent story about this? Here we go. Actress Lisa Baines, who was in Gone Girl, has died after being hit by a scooter. This happened about, I think, 10 days ago. It was a hit-and-run scooter accident. I don't know exactly what kind of scooter it was. Was it like something that looks like a little mini, like almost like a mini motorcycle, or was it one of those things that's like, it looks like a skateboard with a big, handlebar on it? I don't know. Lisa, this is from ABC7. Lisa Baines, known for supporting roles in Gone Girl and Cocktail, has died after being struck by a scooter on Manhattan's Upper West Side. She was 65. She was hit by a scooter around 7:30 p.m. on June 4th at the intersection of Amsterdam and West 64th Street. She was crossing Amsterdam Avenue on the way to visit Juilliard School. The driver of the scooter fled from the scene. When I first moved to Atlanta, scooters were legal on sidewalks, and it was crazy dangerous. And then they banned them, at least where I live, on the sidewalks. But people would go so fast. I still see it now. Less often, though, here. But some people go so fast on them. But I haven't seen exactly what the scooter was. Also, it's interesting they don't have like cameras. I think in some countries they have like cameras like on the streets. But I guess there's no street camera there. Ron says manslaughter charges now. I don't even know. I mean, they haven't made any arrests or anything. It's really terrible. Here's the New York Post article. Lisa Baines dies after getting struck by hit-and-run scooter driver. She was mowed down by a red and black scooter, friends and police have said. Oh my, and then the person just like hits her and then rides away. Mike J says, I just saw one of those 2 weeks ago get T-boned because they are riding fast and reckless. Linda Belk says, in NYC there are electric ones all over. There are a lot of those little scooters in NYC. Duster Singer says, how sad. It's terrible. Landico says scooters could include ones that go up to 50 miles an hour and more like Vespa types. Yeah, see, I've never heard and seen if it was like, again, like a skateboard with a handlebar or something like a Vespa like this. Was it like this? I have no idea. Maybe it was something like this. Uh-oh. Nicola Higgins says, I sent you a tweet about Israel. Nicola, you might want to go back and watch the first 5 minutes of this broadcast. Anyways. Then there was another depressing story, but I wanted to mention. This was really odd. I feel like I'm surprised this hasn't gotten more press. No, Nicola, that's not a new attack, and we already discussed it, and I was explaining why I didn't think it was a really big deal. Nicola, go back and watch the first 10 minutes of the broadcast. But thank you for writing. There's this other story that I haven't seen reported that much, and it's really crazy. I don't know what's going on with this. I tweeted it out. If I can find it here. This is really weird. Former Mississippi lawmaker, I mean, that's not the weird part, fatally shot outside trailer where her sister-in-law was found dead after Christmas. This is in Mississippi. So this woman was like doing yard work outside this trailer where her sister-in-law was found dead a few months ago. And somebody then killed the woman, shot and killed the woman. And then the woman's husband says he thinks he knows who did it. And I'm very confused. Like, I don't know who's doing this. What's the connection here? So it's a really disturbing story. Whoa, what's going on there? Why are we listening to that? Okay, hold on. A former Mississippi state representative was gunned down over the weekend outside the burned trailer where her sister-in-law's scorched remains were discovered during the early hours of the morning just after Christmas. This from the Daily News. And none of the reporting says this has anything to do with her being a legislator. She spent the final hours of her life tidying up the overgrown property where her sister-in-law, Christina Michelle Jones, once lived. And that's Ashley Henley, who was killed. And then it says, the ex-lawmaker and her husband, Brandon Henley, have spent the last several months turning the site into a memorial for her sister-in-law, who was found dead inside the trailer's bedroom on December 26th. Authorities believe the residence was set ablaze around 1:30 a.m. Police have not ruled out homicide as the cause of the first death. And then her husband says, the county coroner said Henley was fatally shot while she cut the grass outside the mobile home. Then her husband says, I have my own theory and the police do too, saying that investigators have already interviewed a suspect. So what's the theory? It's a really weird story. So is the idea that somebody killed her sister-in-law and then they killed her? They went to the same house? The same trailer? It's really disturbing. But I don't get what happened. Show you something else about this. Like Charlana Martin says, is it the husband? Like, I mean, you'd think they'd look into the husband, but I don't know. I'm not seeing that he's a suspect at this point. I don't know. Here's an article from Mississippi Today. Former Representative Ashley Henley shot, killed outside home where sister-in-law's body had been found. Michelle says there's got to be more to this. Kayla says probably the husband. I mean, but he's been, I mean, it wasn't like they were separated or anything. I don't know. It's very confusing. Henley, 40, had been mowing the grass outside the burned-out trailer where her sister-in-law's body was found on December 27th. That death is also being investigated. Henley had recently on social media expressed frustration with the investigation of her sister-in-law's death and vowed to continue the push for justice in the case. Jubera, who is, hold on. So there's a little noise, a little buzzing in the studio right now. I apologize. Oh, the assistant DA says there's no evidence that Henley's death was related to her service in the legislature. Elizabeth G. says, why the husband? I assume someone might suspect a husband because, like, who else is it? Jeff Haas is probably a family member. So if it's her sister-in-law, then is that her husband's sister? It's really weird. Linda Belk says, sounds like someone hated those sisters. Well, they're not sisters, they're sisters-in-law. But yeah, I mean, Gina says, we will have to await the facts on this one. Oh, I'm sorry. Me Betty Boop. Right. It could be her husband's sister, right? Am I thinking about this right? Or it could be her what is this? No, if it's her sister-in-law, it's got to be through her husband, right? That's who it would be. Or brother's wife. Me Betty Boop says it could be her brother's wife. I don't know if she had a brother, but it could be her brother's wife. That's true. That's true. Johnny Autonomous says, I'm confused. Yeah, but it's like, why is this? Why did both of them happen at the same place? You know, sometimes you hear these things and you're like, oh, I think maybe this happened. I don't know. Ugh. Yoker says, did you see about Israel? Yoker, go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this broadcast. Right, could be his sister, her sister's wife too. True. Sean K says revenge attack. Hold on a second here. So it's very weird. I'll keep an eye on that because I don't know what's going on. It's very sad, but it's very, very strange. Elizabeth G. Now, Elizabeth G. says whoever killed the woman in the trailer was enraged at the memorial being built. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Jack Ball says, could be similar to the Crystal Rogers case where the dad was assassinated for pushing the case, doing his own investigation. Now I'm having problems on Facebook. Now I'm trying to watch my own broadcast on Facebook and I can't even watch it. I'd say anyone else having trouble with Facebook, but I can't see the comments. Oh, there we go. Now I can see. Kathleen Mullally says the murder might be covering up something. Erie says something smells fishy. Well, I'll certainly, all I can do is keep an eye on it and see what comes out about it. But it's very odd. Okay, let's move on. We'll move on to a different story. One of our viewers asked about the California electricity situation. For the moment, California ISO, I believe they're in charge of California ISO. I think they oversee electric there. They manage the flow of electricity. They oversee California's bulk electric power system. So they had posted some concerns today about possibly during the next few days not having enough power. But you can see they posted at 7:18 p.m. ISO is projecting enough energy to cover demand tomorrow. So that's good. By the way, quick thanks to Patty Looney and Tony Del Monte for your support. I appreciate it. Tony Del Monte and Patty Looney, thank you so much. See what they said here. What happened to their heat bulletin? Here it is. Heat bulletin, California. With extreme heat expected to break temperature records and linger over California and much of California and the West for the remainder of the week, we are asking customers to be prepared to conserve energy. So they haven't told customers to do this yet. They told customers to do stuff like this in Texas. These steps would include setting thermostats to 78 or higher. That's what Texas Electric, ERCOT, told Texans, I think yesterday. Avoid use of major appliances, turning off unnecessary lights. They haven't told people that yet. They also said if they issue a flex alert calling for voluntary conservation between the hours of 4 to 9 on Wednesday and possibly Thursday, consumers will be encouraged to take other steps, blah, 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 blah. The California's electric grid, they say, will be straining to meet evening demand when air conditioners are in heavy use and solar energy generation is waning. The biggest deficit in energy in California electricity is projected for Thursday between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. when demand is supposed to be more than supply. The ISO has steps it can take to close that gap. But one step that they normally might take, which is imported electricity from neighboring states, they can't take because there's a lot of hot weather going on in other states too in their area. So they're going to need their electricity. But anyways, nothing yet from California about having to shut people's power off temporarily, that kind of thing. Bull Scorpio Gaming says it's 103 in the SoCal desert today. It was up to 100. It was up to 110. Linda says ERCOT has asked us to do things like, in Texas, like put our thermostats at 78 or higher. They should have asked last week when it was hotter. Well, the thing about this week, I think, Linda, with ERCOT is the problem wasn't just the hot weather. It was that a number of power plants are offline for repairs in Texas. So that's a significant cause of the shortfall. I don't know if it was like that last week. Give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter with your comments. I wonder if Facebook will ever fix the live chat. Duster Singer says it's very hot here. I'm not sure where Duster is. Thanks, by the way, Brian Qualls, for the Facebook star. It's very nice of you. Brian Qualls, thank you. Hang on. iBash says 114 today here in Phoenix. Make sure you have good AC. So I will definitely be keeping an eye on the power situation in the West and any other places where they're getting very hot weather. But I haven't heard of any kind of, temporary outages yet. Okay, let's move on. One of our viewers had said, is there an update on the Illinois fire? I haven't even checked, but the Illinois fire, remember we covered this yesterday, the Illinois chemical plant fire in, was it Rockton? Is that where it was? They said it was going to take a few days for the oil-based lubricant that was on fire to burn off. I don't even know if there is any big update. I haven't heard an update today. Hang on. Here's something. National Weather Service issues an air quality alert for the Rockton area. This is from WIFR. The National Weather Service has issued an air quality alert for the Rockton area in effect till 4 p.m. tomorrow. Let me get that. I'd like to read the alert. Here it is. Air quality alert, including the city of Rockford. But didn't it happen in Rockford is near Rockton. Didn't it happen in Rockton? Let's see. Rockton. Rockton is about, I think, 15 miles away from Rockford, which is a bigger city. Anyways, going back here. Winnebago, is it Winnebago County? City, including the city of Rockford. Air quality alert in effect until 4 p.m. Central Wednesday for the Rockton area. For Rockton. Oh, this is for Rockton. But it says including the city of Rockford. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency has issued the following statement. Out of an abundance of caution, while air quality monitoring and analysis continues, it is recommended individuals continue wearing a protective face covering to reduce exposure to particulate matter in the air. That's all they said. Montpelier says going to foam it. I haven't heard updates about fighting the fire. Let me see if I can, what else I can find on this. Ooh. There was an update today about it. Ooh, look. Rockton chemical fire could take 7 days to burn out. Fire chief says, as state officials cite company for environmental violations. This is from Chicago Tribune. This fire started yesterday. A chemical plant fire has been referred to the Attorney General's office for environmental... Oh, no, the chemical plant itself has been referred to the Attorney General's office for environmental violations 1 day after a fire broke out there. The EPA cited violations by the company of the Illinois Environmental Protection Act and Illinois Pollution Control Board regulations related to the fire and release of the pollution into the atmosphere. Okay. Agency is seeking information about the cause of the fire and an estimate of the nature and amount of emissions that might have resulted from the fire. So it sounds like there might be violations from the fire and the emissions from it. The fire could take 7 days to burn out, said the fire chief in the area. 2 fires were hurt, one with a leg injury and another who was evaluated for breathing difficulty and sent home. Officials advised residents within 3 miles of the fire to wear face masks outdoors and to handle debris from the sky with shovels and gloves and keep it separate from household waste. People within a 1 mile radius are still under evacuation. Officials did not know the cause of the fire. Fire personnel stopped dousing the blaze with water because of concerns about chemical runoff into the nearby Rock River. The water was expected to be protected at about 11 a.m. Tuesday. Sorry, the river was expected to be protected? It said that as of what they were going to do this morning is somehow protect the river, maybe with a barrier or something, and then they were going to start fire suppression operations. So I don't know if that actually happened. Yeah, a private firefighting company from Louisiana was expected to begin pumping foam Tuesday onto the still burning ruins. I don't know if that started already. Officials are monitoring water supply to make sure there's no contamination. Wilson said the foam would be sprayed onto burned and burning areas of the plant, including about 500,000 gallons of oil that began burning Monday morning. Interesting. Are they? I wonder. Is like some channel showing a live shot of the fire still? This was a fire at a chemical plant that's in Louisiana, in Illinois, that started yesterday. I don't see any live shots of the fire right now. GK says they're dozing some lines near the river. So I guess the idea is they're taking some sort of action to protect the river, and then once they've protected the river from runoff, they're going to start dumping like foam on the fire. See, we showed you this yesterday. This is ChemTool in Illinois. See, it says Rockton Fire. Here? That's where it is? But the river is right near the fire. Our viewer, who said the thing about Winnebago County? Jeff Haas said both of those, Rockton and Rockford, are in Winnebago County. Winnebago County. Let's look this up. Illinois. Oh, there's Winnebago County, which includes both Rockford and Rockton. It's west of Chicago, northwest of Chicago. Anyways, you can read more in that article in Chicago Tribune. Linda, it's not clear what started that fire. We do not know. There was like rumors going around that an employee, I think, drove into some kind of container, but I'm not sure if that's true. Someone just messaged me about Israel again. Okay, I'm going to say this again because I keep getting messages about it. What's going on in Israel with Gaza, it's not that big of a deal. You can stop messaging me about it. It was entirely expected. Israel and Gaza are not going to war again like they were 2 weeks ago. It wasn't an official war, but it's not like that right now. This was entirely expected. Why? Because there was this march that was delayed, that finally happened today, where some Israelis marched in an area in East Jerusalem where Palestinians did not want them to march. So inevitably, that happened. So it was anticipated that there'd be some action by Palestinians against Israel. It wasn't huge. There wasn't a barrage of rockets today. One thing that happened, I think probably the biggest thing that happened, is I believe it was a couple dozen incendiary balloons were launched by people in Gaza over the border into Israel. Now, once that happens, Israel feels like they have to do something. So a couple hours ago, roughly, there were some airstrikes launched by Israel into Gaza. It doesn't look like they were big airstrikes. No buildings collapsed, or not even any reports of injuries. It looks to me more like they did it just because they have this policy that if you launch attacks from Gaza, we're going to respond. And maybe you'll see a few rocket launches from Gaza in response. But overall, given that this march happened, we did not see some huge new outbreak of violent fighting, which is good. So it's not that big of a deal. I would say it's expected. But people keep messaging me about it. Remember, not everything is a crisis. Not everything is a disaster. I got to start saying that more and more. There's like a vibration going on, which is usually not going on in here, and I need to look into that. It's not a fan. It's something is vibrating. So I'll need to look into that. Okay, give me a shout. I'm on Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter. That's where you can reach me. I do want to do a quick check on the temperatures in the U.S. right now. If I can find the map. This says current U.S. temperatures. This is from Weather Underground. I'd kind of like a more interactive map. Oh, I know what I can do. We can go to windy. Let's go to windy. We'll see what the temperatures are. All right, here's windy. We'll go to temperature, and we want to turn on the actual... You want to look at the numbers. See, these numbers are actual readings. So like 29 minutes ago, Blythe Airport. So just to give you a sense of what's going on here. 111, China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, 106. Santa Barbara, 71. Los Angeles isn't that warm right now. LA Airport is 71. But once you get a little inland, Lake Havasu City is 118. Hold on, I need to... Flagstaff, 91, and then this area. It's weird, I can't... Phoenix is like 115 right now. And then actually you have these hundreds going all the way up. Look at this, into... gosh, it's a little hard to... It's hard to make out on this map. What am I looking at? Can't see the state lines. Montana. There's a lot of hot weather in Montana. Look at this. Look at how high those hundreds go up, all the way into Montana. See up here? But again, I have not heard about power, power being cut anywhere from this. Okay. Okay, we talked about that. One of our viewers had mentioned, I think, Canadian lottery. Logger in Camp mentioned Lotto Max. I assume that's the name of the Canadian lottery. Here it is. This is what Logger in Camp was talking about. Record 128 million in Lotto Max prizes up for grabs Tuesday. That's today. 70 million Lotto Max jackpot. This is not big as some of the U.S. ones. The U.S., they can get up to like $1 billion. And 58 max millions prizes are on the line tonight after Canada's national lottery went unclaimed after Friday's draw. So record high pot in Canada's national lottery. It makes sense, well, even if people play the lottery just as much in the U.S. and Canada. Canada is a smaller country, so there'd be a smaller amount of money in the pot over the same amount of time. Sarah 55 is in Canada, says, I have a ticket. Denise Horton, who's in Canada, says, I got my tickets an hour ago, so excited. Good luck to any of our viewers who are playing. Eleven Glowfly says, by the way, says, I'm in Tucson, Arizona. Luckily, I'm in my comfy air-conditioned house. I wonder how much you guys can hear the wall vibrating. I hope it's not that loud. I'll have to listen to it after. It's annoying to me in here. So I apologize. It's normally not like that. I don't know why it's doing that right now. It's the oddest thing. Marcus says, I can hear it. Yeah, it's normally not like that. I don't know why today it's like this. I can hear it. What it is, I believe it's the air conditioning system, and it's somehow vibrating in the wall, and it's making that sound. Crazy. It's normally not that loud. Well, I'll have to reach out to maintenance and see if they can do anything. Really weird. Okay, sorry. I did not anticipate that happening. Okay, let's move on. U.S. Storm Watch said Salt Lake City, by the way, tied its highest temperature ever. Let me see if I can get more information on that. Here, look. ABC4.com. All-time June record heat falls in all-time June heat record falls, I think it's supposed to say, in Salt Lake City. Alana Brophy posted, this has never happened in Salt Lake City in June. An all-time record has been broken. We are 1 degree from the all-time hottest temperature in Salt Lake City ever, 107. It was 106 today. Breaks record in Salt Lake City of 102 set back in 1974. Oh, here it is, look. Salt Lake City. 106. We just hit an official temperature never before seen in the month of June of Salt Lake City. In all 147 years of records, we are only 1 degree away from tying the all-time heat record in Salt Lake City in any month of 107. What is their forecast? Is it supposed to be hotter tomorrow? No. Not as hot tomorrow. Hey, thanks, Sonic. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it, Sonic. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks again to our moderators. Linda Belk. I appreciate Linda moderating over there on Twitter. We got Lizzie, Melissa McQueen, Sarah55, Marcus Bell, Danny James, Sarah Joy, Lady Edith. They're all moderating in our YouTube chat. Oh, thanks, Lynn Downey. I hope you're feeling well. Lynn Downey in Iowa. Thank you so much, Lynn, for your support. We also have moderating Duxor, Maddie Mags, Papa Bear, and Sully. Thank you guys. Some of our viewers said they did not hear the wall vibrating. They might not. I don't know if the mic picks it up. Maybe if you really concentrate, you can hear it. Okay, let's move on. Maybe we'll talk about some of the Delta variant stuff. We should talk about that. Oh, Jacqueline Morgan, that's very kind of you. Thanks for the sticker. Jacqueline Morgan, thank you so much. Very nice of you. Let's talk about the Delta variant stuff. It's the whole thing with the Delta variant is it's this interesting thing. So this is this variant of coronavirus that was very prominent in India, and now it's getting prominent in other countries. I think it's now up to 10% of the cases in the U.S. are this Delta variant, and it spreads faster, it looks like, than previous variants, and maybe is more harmful to people. But so the vaccines that are out there, though, a number of them work very well on it. So there was just some information yesterday about the effectiveness of vaccines. If you have a full dosage, if you're fully vaccinated. So, but it's this weird thing because, in some places, a lot of people are fully vaccinated, and in a lot of countries, not many people are vaccinated at all. So look, this is from yesterday. See this? Vaccines offer significant protection against COVID-19 Delta variant, UK analysis shows. Public Health England says Pfizer shot, if you have both doses, are 96% effective against hospitalization, and AstraZeneca shot 92% effective. But that's if you get both shots. So on the one hand, like if everybody in the world were fully vaccinated, this would not be nearly as big of a deal. But of course, many people are not fully vaccinated. And in some countries, few people are fully vaccinated. So, there's a lot of risk from this Delta variant, but I want to be careful about, what the risk is. You can see here. Public health officials in the UK say they're increasingly confident that vaccines offer significant protection against the Delta variant. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. The Delta variant was first detected in India. Anyway, so all the more reason for people to get full vaccination. But you're starting to see more cases in the U.S. that are Delta cases. Let's see. Here, look. Like this. Gottlieb says Delta variant likely to become dominant U.S. strain. This is from CBS News. Scott Gottlieb, the former FDA commissioner, said the Delta variant is likely to become the dominant strain source of new infections in the U.S. and could lead to new outbreaks in the fall, with unvaccinated Americans being at most risk. Right now, he said, it's about 10% of infections. It's doubling every 2 weeks. That doesn't mean we're going to see a sharp uptick in infections, but it does mean this is going to take over. And I think the risk is really to the fall that this could spike a new epidemic. The Delta variant has become infamous for its ability to outpace and replicate quicker than other variants in its lineage. Prominent British epidemiologist Neil Ferguson said last week the Delta variant is about 60% more transmissible than the original B.1.1.7, also called the UK variant. Gottlieb said the risk of new outbreaks is most pronounced in parts of the U.S. that have low vaccination rates. Margot says Eric Topol has some great info on Delta variant. I actually follow him for virus stuff on Twitter, Eric Topol. It's one of the people I follow. I don't know specifically what he's posted today. Yeah, he posted this. He said emergence of Delta in the U.S. on its way to quickly replacing Alpha. So if you look at here, you see the yellow line is the Delta variant. And it was like 0% of cases, and it only started becoming prominent in April, and now it's up to actually, what is this? This says 20%, but it's not 20% yet. I don't think it's 20% yet. Why does it say 20%? I'm not sure. I'd have to know more about this graph. I'm not immediately seeing it. Let's see here. Yeah, see, he says, because of such limited sequencing in the U.S., meaning not that many cases do they actually figure out what variant it is that's led to the person, that's led to the person getting sick or testing positive. He says, the cases are basically flat in the U.S., but the Alpha variant is going down and the Delta variant, aka the Indian variant, is going up. Mike says, I'm glad I got my shots, but that second Pfizer shot had me bedbound. Glad you got your shots. Oh, and didn't, I think officially, the CDC called the Delta variant a variant of concern? Did that happen today? Yeah, look. Delta now variant of concern. The change in classification is based on mounting evidence the variant spreads more easily and causes more severe disease. The agency declared the variant a variant of concern, a designation given when there's increased evidence of factors such as transmissibility or severity or reduced effectiveness or vaccines or treatments. But again, vaccines, full doses of the mRNA vaccines like Pfizer and AstraZeneca also, those seem to have been working well on this variant. Experts are not surprised by the increase in the proportion of Delta cases in the U.S. Because Delta has an advantage in terms of transmissibility, it takes over, said this expert here. The vaccines available in the U.S. are effective against the Delta variant as well as other circulating variants if you get fully vaxxed. By the way, quick thanks to Denise Horton. I appreciate your support. Denise Horton, thank you, Denise. Thank you. John says, now you need a new vaccine. Right now, you won't. Right now, it's not, from what I understand, I'm not hearing that you'll need a new type of vaccine. Now, it's possible you might need a booster shot if your immunity from the vaccines wear off to a certain degree. It's not clear. Margot thinks we will need boosters. Give me a shout. Let me know your thoughts at Lookner. John does not think we'll need boosters, it looks like. A bond man says the J&J vaccine is not even mentioned anymore. Does it suck or something? No, the reason why it's not mentioned in that Wall Street Journal article is because the Wall Street Journal article talks about new data that has come out about variants effectiveness, about the vaccine's effectiveness on the Delta variant. But the studies did not involve the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So if there is a study that comes out about the Johnson & Johnson, where if somebody's doing a study where they see, I don't know if there are any such studies being done right now of Johnson & Johnson vaccine effectiveness on the Delta variant, like there were. I mean, maybe in the place where they did those studies, people were not taking Johnson & Johnson; they were taking the other vaccines. Okay. But, any place where not that many people are vaccinated are at huge risk from this Delta variant. I mean, we saw what it did in India and what it's been doing there, for example. Kadasi says a fully vaccinated person in Hawaii got the Delta variant reported yesterday. Well, remember, the vaccines are not supposed to be 100%. They're not supposed to be 100% effective against getting the virus. What they're designed to do is keep you from getting sick. And they're not. I mean, the effectiveness numbers we see are not 100% for these things. So just because somebody got the virus and tested positive doesn't mean that the vaccines don't work. There's lots of evidence out there that show that the vaccines, if you are fully vaccinated, you are much, much less likely to get sick or die or be hospitalized from the virus. But just because somebody tests positive or even gets sick because they've been vaccinated doesn't mean the vaccinations don't work. Especially with the Delta variant. I mean, we just showed you that article about the effectiveness of the vaccines in the Delta variant. And if you look at the numbers quoted, it talks about like 96% effective, 92% effective. That just means that, if those numbers are legit, then yes, people can still get sick and test positive from the Delta variant, even if they've been fully vaccinated. It's that they greatly improve your odds if you take it. Yeah, look, see? This is the article we were looking at, the Wall Street Journal. It said, an analysis of more than 14,000 Delta variant cases by England's Public Health Agency found a double dose of the Pfizer vaccine reduces the risk of hospitalization by 96%. That's not 100%. There's no guarantee. It's not supposed to be the case that it's impossible for you to get, sick or test positive if you've taken the Pfizer vaccine. It just really improves your chances. All right, hang on a second here. Hang on 1 second here. Sorry, once again, that wall AC vibration noise is happening again, which I'm going to have to look into because it's especially loud today, and I don't know why that is. Let's just do this real quick. If you have comments, if you have suggestions for stories, the place to reach me is at Lookner on Twitter. Oh, and by the way, just a reminder, so if you're watching this channel on YouTube, this is not my normal news channel. Well, my main news channel is Agenda Free TV. This is Agenda Free TV 2. So this is Agenda Free TV 2 on YouTube. On the other platforms, it's just one channel, Agenda Free TV. But on YouTube, there are two news channels. There's Agenda Free TV 2, and then there's Agenda Free TV. I go on Agenda Free TV when there's some huge, some big breaking news story, which there's not right now. So that's why I'm doing a news roundup on Agenda Free TV 2. So, but if you like Agenda Free TV 2, you might want to subscribe to Agenda Free TV and vice versa. And then also, when there's not much news going on, sometimes I do live streams on my personal channel, which is called Lookner. That's only on YouTube. And probably tonight, if there's not a big news story, I'll do a stream on after the news roundup, I'll do a stream on my personal channel, Lookner. So you can check that out as well. That's only on YouTube, though, the Lookner channel. Okay, here's what I want to do. I have some more stories to talk about, but I need to take a 1-minute break. Give me 1 minute. I'm coming right back, and we'll continue with the news roundup in 1 minute. We are back. All right. I hope everybody behaved themselves while I was away. Hey, one of our viewers wrote in, and they wrote in about Juneteenth, and they wanted to mention that. That was Carol Alfonso. Our viewer Carol Alfonso wrote in, and she mentioned this. The Senate has passed a bill to make Juneteenth, June 19th, a federal holiday. It's expected to easily pass the House. Juneteenth commemorates when the last enslaved African Americans learned they were free. Now, I was wondering, is this like an additional holiday or is it replacing something else? I had forgotten to read about this. So that's a question I have. The Senate passed a bill That would make June. This is the Associated Press. That would make Juneteenth, June 19th, a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. It's expected the House is going to pass it, and then Biden would go to Biden for its signature. It commemorates when the last enslaved African Americans learned they were free. Confederate soldiers surrendered in April 1865, but word didn't reach the last enslaved black people until June 19th, when Union soldiers brought the news of freedom to Galveston, Texas. That was about 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, let's see here. It's a new holiday. It's a new holiday. It's not replacing an existing holiday. It's a new holiday. The vast majority of states already recognize Juneteenth as a holiday or have an official observance of the day, and most states hold celebrations. So I also don't understand, how it works. Once there's a national holiday, I don't know, can there be no school anywhere, or can certain things not be? I would assume federal offices would all be closed. Mike J says, on the school year for Department of Education. What? Hold on a second. I'm going to have to start timing people out, I think. I think some of the people mentioning Israel in the chat are just trolling, to be quite honest. No, Carl Carty. Carl Carty, please go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this video. I have twice explained why the Israel airstrikes in Gaza are not that big a deal. It's entirely expected. There was a march that happened in Israel today where some Jews marched in a place that Palestinians didn't want them to march. So it was entirely expected that Palestinians would do something in response, which they did. They launched a couple dozen balloons around that, incendiary balloons into Israel. And then once they did that, it was entirely expected that Israel would respond, which they did. So they launched some airstrikes. There were no reported injuries. Maybe you'll have a few rockets launched from Gaza at Israel in response, but it's not a big deal. It's entirely expected. It's way less than it could have been. It's not going back to 2 weeks ago. It's not the end of the ceasefire in the sense of, we're not back to big hostilities like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't going to explain it a third time, but I just did. It's just not that big of a deal right now, in the big scheme of things. Not everything is a disaster. Not everything is an emergency. Not everything is a crisis. Let's get back to what people said about... I don't know if people have other information about Juneteenth. Madison said, read on Google that some states do not recognize it as a holiday. I don't know how it's going to work now now that it's a federal holiday. Let's see if I can find a different article about it. Let me read some more comments on it. But I'd like to find more information about just the administrative aspect of it. Haltuck says it's only an airstrike. They happen every day. Well, they don't happen every day, but it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon for Israel to launch some strikes on Gaza, even when there's not active hostilities going on. It's certainly not uncommon for for some people in Gaza to send incendiary balloons into Israel. Not uncommon. Shaggy says, airstrikes, no big deal. I think you know what I meant, Shaggy. If you want to intentionally misinterpret my language and uncharitably interpret the phrase big deal in a way that clearly I don't mean it, I think the average person out there understands. Of course, any kind of airstrike is a big deal in a certain sense, but not in the sense that it's like huge groundbreaking news. That's the sense, the obvious sense I meant, which I think you know. So come on. Yeah, it was. Sean's Cake says it was. Was it a ceasefire? I don't know. Was it called like an? I don't know if it's officially not called a ceasefire because a ceasefire implies certain things, and maybe it was caused like a temporary truce or something. That was. I don't know what the terminology for it was. Whatever agreement they had that they were going to stop hostilities for the time being. Some shady is that the incendiary balloons can cause significant fires in Israel. They've done it before. But again, I'm just talking about, is this kind of something huge and new which warrants alarmed news coverage from me? And I would say from the media in general. Now it's different maybe if you're actually, there. And I would argue no. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to start timing out and hiding people. Hold on. I got to start doing this. There we go. Let's see here. Let's see if there's any other information about here. Okay, a bill to make Juneteenth a federal holiday passes the Senate, so it's probably going to pass the House and then become law. Okay. This doesn't have much. If it becomes law, it would be the 11th national holiday recognized annually by the federal government. What I need is something about national holidays. National holiday. What does it mean in the U.S. when something's a national holiday? There's nothing about it in Wikipedia specifically for U.S. Hang on a second here. What's going on here? Ugh. I don't know. I can't find more information about that. About how it affects, like, what states can, what implication it has for states. Oh, I wanted to talk about the Alabama story, too. We'll talk about that. Read Israel said, try federal holidays. There is federal holiday. Good job, Read Israel. Federal holidays in the United States. Every year on a U.S. federal holiday, non-essential federal government offices are closed. Stock market trading is usually suspended, and every federal government employee is paid for the holiday. It'll be the 11th federal holiday. Most of the 10 U.S. federal holidays are also state holidays. A holiday that falls on the weekend is usually observed on the closest weekday. Anyways. Well, Juneteenth is one down now. Or it's going to be one. Why are people saying feel better, Sonic? Is Sonic not feeling well? Sonic, I hope you feel better. Sonic, feel better. That's not good. By the way, I owe a thank you to Lee Field. Thank you, Lee Field, for your support. I appreciate that. Lee Field, thank you. Yes, iBash. Juneteenth. It's weird because iBash says, yes, I just got it. June 19th equals Juneteenth. The weird thing is I was confused by it because Juneteenth, like June 18th or 17th or 16th could also be called Juneteenth. So it's a little, like it should be called maybe Juneteenth or Juneteenth. Because that would make more sense. Because what it's currently called is Juneteenth. And I don't see how that specifies the 19th over the 18th, 17th, or 16th, or 15th, or 14th, or 13th. I just think the name could be more specific to the... If the name mentions the date at all, it should be more specific to the 19th. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. Anybody who thinks that. Anyways, new federal holiday it looks like next year. Actually, would it be this year? Will it get passed before this June? Will it apply this year? I don't know. By the way, Leanne Tickner says if the Delta variant came from India, why are India's numbers going down? Well, my guess is that people are distancing more and more people are getting vaccinated. But what I would assume would happen is things were getting so bad there and then you had more restrictions and people also, being extra cautious. That's what usually happens. And I do know they're vaccinating more people. I don't know how much that's playing into the numbers. I mean, there's still some very high numbers of people dying in India. The new case numbers have gone down. But I'm wondering, I would guess a lot of that is people, taking more precautions because they're aware of how bad it is. The reason that the India numbers went up so fast in the first place was because the Delta variant. Also, it's possible that just many, many people in India got it. So the numbers might drop because, so many people have gotten it. I don't know how much that contributes as well. Karen Brody says, glad it's slowing down in India. They had it so bad. And again, there's still a lot of people dying there from it and a lot of people sick. It's just the new numbers of new people getting it have been dropping. Reed Israel says, I think the name Juneteenth just took. Okay. Let's move along. But thank you for suggesting the topic. Oh, I want to talk about the Alabama shooting. That was not good. That was this morning. By the way, one of our viewers mentioned a fire. Betty Nelson mentioned a fire near L.A. Yeah, you can see here. There's. I don't think it's that big at this point. NWS Los Angeles says, view of the smoke column from the Santa Fe fire. Is this the new one? Is this the new one? Yeah. California fire scanner. That's a good account. There's a Skyline fire and there's a Santa Fe fire. Santa Fe fire at Santa Fe Dam in LA County. Potential for 20 acres. That's not, gigantic. And then there's a grass fire here. Skyline fire. Nothing new and huge right at the moment. Nothing new and huge in terms of fires. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, just in terms of India, like the raw numbers, if you just look it up, this is Worldometer. Yeah, daily official new cases, have really dropped a lot below 100,000. They were up to above 400,000. And of course, there's going to be, people who are positive but don't get tested or whatever. But I think it's a good representation of what's going on in the country. All right, let's do this. Yeah, so this is from alabama.com, al.com. So it's just a workplace shooting. I hadn't checked in it since this morning. So what I heard this morning is that at a business in Alabama overnight, a worker shot and killed 2 people and injured 2 others, and then later the worker killed himself. Just terrible. In Albertville, Alabama, police in a small northeast Alabama city are piecing together why a longtime employee at a prominent local industrial plant fatally shot 2 co-workers, wounded 2 others, and apparently shot himself following a shift change early this morning around 2:30 a.m. The shooting at a fire hydrant factory began shortly before 2:30 a.m. Andreas Dion Horton of DeKalb County used a handgun and shot 4 people in 2 or 3 different areas around the plant. Just crazy, just terrible. Condolences to the families of all who died and thoughts with those who were injured. Then he shot the people at the plant, then he left the plant, and then his car was located several hours later, and he was found in the car, dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Multiple weapons were recovered from the vehicle. They were all handguns. The police said, we've had some dealings with the suspect in the past, but nothing violent that I'm aware, just traffic tickets. A distant relative of the suspect said he was a good guy, very quiet, easygoing. You would never expect this from him. Albertville is 21,000 people. Smith could not remember the last time Albertville had a homicide with multiple victims. I think he's with the police. That's the Albertville police chief. She. Oh, it's Jamie Smith. It's either a he or she. Wow. I'll see Heavy.com had something about this. Where is it? I saw something before. Hang on a second. Let me see. They had something about this. Here. A suspect identified in Alabama plant shooting. Let's see if they have anything about him. Aries Puric says, nowhere is safe from these crazy shootings. Little Bird says, shootings are so terrible. I hate they happen every day. Michelle R. says, the new norm. The Lucky Blackbird says, people are going nuts with shootings. Aries says, common theme, workplace shootings. Hang on one sec. Jeff Curry says, I live about 25 miles from DeKalb County. That's DeKalb County, Alabama, I believe. Yes, there's a DeKalb County, Alabama. Albertville looks like it's near DeKalb County. Let's see. Here's Albertville. Albertville is in northern Alabama. That's where this happened. Here, let's see if they have anything else in the heavy.com article. Hold on. Horton lived in DeKalb County. An investigation is underway to determine the shooter's motive. Horton opened fire with a handgun at the plant during the surge shift while about 100 employees were inside the shoot, and the shooting was completely unprovoked, police say. Just crazy. It's weird because it's not like people are saying, oh, he was really angry at work or something. The police chief said he believed the shooting was completely unprovoked at this point. It's tough, no bones about it. I mean, wow. This is one of the victims, Lee Dobbins, who got killed, sadly, according to heavy.com. I think this is one of the other victims down here. Let's see. Hold on. David Horton. He had the same last name as the shooter, but the other article said there was no indication they were related or anything. So I believe he is the other person who got killed. I believe these are the two. Let's see here. The shooting killed Michael Lee Dobbins and David Lee Horton. And that's Lee Dobbins, and that's David Horton. So condolences to their families. Wow, David Horton was also married and had children. Terrible. A GoFundMe has been created for Lee Dobbins, who was one of the people killed. The Lee Dobbins family expenses. He had a daughter and a wife. That's you can find a link to the GoFundMe in the heavy.com article. A friend wrote, I cannot believe this. We graduated together and he was such a good person, never in trouble, never bothered anyone. I'll always remember his goofy laugh and smile. Horton had worked at the plant for about 10 years and had only minor run-ins with police in the past. He'd worked at the plant for about 10 years. The police chief said he wasn't aware of any tension or issues between Horton and other employees at the facility, but said it's still under investigation. Just crazy. Like no one is saying like, no one's saying, oh, he had, at least right now, we're not hearing anyone saying, oh, he had like huge mental problems or, oh, he just got fired or something. It's just like none of that. Gina Julius is painfully sad. Denise Horton says sad. Yeah, it's terrible. Mark says that Albertville itself is in Marshall County. Rita's Real says, I'm a responsible gun owner, but this has got to stop. Too many people get guns who shouldn't have access. Well, and I don't even know if there's any reason, like, I don't even know if there was anything in his, I mean, at least initially, it doesn't sound like there's anything in his past that suggests he might do something like this. This is weird because, like, I don't think this story got much publicity. But, like, he shot 4 other people and then himself. So he killed, like, there's other shootings where 4 people get shot and it gets a huge amount of publicity. It's just sometimes it's like random. Well, I don't know if it's random, but it's just some get a lot of publicity and don't. This has not gotten much coverage, but this guy shot 4 people at a workplace. Just terrible. Honey Herzo says, something is adding to mental health issues in America. Need to stop watching divisive news. Jeff Curry. I'm not sure exactly where Jeff is. He says, killings happen in shopping centers around here all the time. I don't know why. Evil people. All right, you can give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. By the way, just going back for a second to Juneteenth, our viewer Sonic Man says, I remember reports on Target closing last year because of Juneteenth. So this was last year. Target, Best Buy, U.S. Bank make Juneteenth company holiday. Again, as we said earlier, it looks like the Senate has voted to make Juneteenth a federal holiday in the U.S., and it's anticipated that the House will approve it and then Biden will sign it. But this is from last year. Now, this was happening, I believe, after the George Floyd death and the protests. I believe this was after that, yeah. You can see this is last year. This article in the Star Tribune said there's been a national push to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, a campaign that has intensified in the wake of the case of George Floyd. Okay. J.A. and Petey sent me this. What is this? It's from last week. France sending a second Statue of Liberty to the U.S., a smaller one. It says New Yorkers, a second Statue of Liberty sent by France, 1/16 the size of the world-famous one, is being sent. It will be displayed on Ellis Island on Independence Day. There you go. It's a replica. Thank you, John A. and Petey, for watching and for writing it. Tracy Johnson said Derek Chauvin's being sentenced tomorrow. Is that true? I have no idea. I Googled it and I didn't see that it was tomorrow. Maybe it is tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not seeing articles saying it's tomorrow. I'm not saying you're wrong. Oh, and then this is happening. Where is this at? Is this in LA? I think some people were talking about a fire. I just saw this. This is from ABC7 News in the Bay Area. This is the Bay Area, not LA. Grass fire in Vallejo threatening homes. Winds are not strong there. Bay Area. That's from Sandhya Patel. Okay. Here's what I think we're going to do. So, I think, hit the stories that I wanted to cover, the big stories from today. So I think what we're going to do is this. In a little bit, I'm going to wrap up this stream, and then if there's no big story to go on and cover on Agenda Free TV, you're watching it on YouTube, we're watching Agenda Free TV too. I have my main news channel is Agenda Free TV. But if there's no big news story, I'm going to do a stream on my personal channel, which is called Lookner. That's only on YouTube. That's not on, it's just on YouTube. That's it. So if you are interested in that, you can check out Lookner on YouTube. If you subscribe to any of the YouTube channels, make sure you click the notifications bell and you choose all notifications. But for all my channels on YouTube, you can just click on channels and you can find the other ones. They should pop up. Why is it not working? For some reason, the channels tab is not working at the moment. I don't know why this is. There it is. And then on Facebook, it's just Agenda Free TV, and Twitch and Twitter as well. But what is this? And really quick, Tony mentioned something in uptown Minneapolis. I haven't heard about it, Tony. I mean, I'm going to the Star Tribune. This is the Star Tribune. I mean, there's no, I'm not seeing any headlines saying big battle in uptown Minneapolis right now. There was, I mean, Tony, if you want to, send me a link, like a news story link. That'd probably be the best thing, because I want to make sure I'm seeing what you're looking at. So you can send me a link on Twitter. Is it? I guess protesters are blocking a street. He sent me this from Crime Watch Minneapolis. Protesters are blocking a street there. I'll have to research this, Tony. I'll have to do some research on it. Looks like maybe protesters are blocking a street in Minneapolis. I'll have to, Tony, I'll have to look into it. I'm not really familiar with the story. Oh, it's this. Here, I found it. See? Soon after Minneapolis police reopen uptown intersection, protesters return to barricades. So again, I don't really know the background of this. The intersection has been shut down off and on since June 3rd when Winston Boogie Smith Jr. was 32, was shot and killed by law enforcement. So there's this ongoing stuff going on at this intersection, it looks like. You can read more about this at CBS Minnesota. I assume that's what Tony is talking about. Tony says that is it. Okay. Thank you, Tony. Oh, is this where the protester was killed? Is that what happened? Or was that somewhere else? By a car or something? Yeah, woman killed after car drives into protesters in Minneapolis. Yeah, that's the intersection. Okay. A woman was killed when another, this is yesterday. A woman was killed, another person was injured after a car drove into protesters in Minneapolis late Sunday night, 2 days ago. The driver was taken to police custody. The preliminary investigation indicated the use of drugs or alcohol by the driver may have contributed to the crash. The uptown neighborhood has been the scene of protests after U.S. Marshals shot dead a black man early this month. Okay. Thank you, Tony. I'll keep an eye on it. I will keep an eye on it. I will look into it, Tony. But thank you. And thank you, Nan B, as well. All right, so I appreciate you guys. Tracy says Chauvin sentencing tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Minnesota time. I didn't know that. It's weird. I don't see any. I looked up Chauvin sentencing, and I'm not seeing any articles about it. Chauvin sentencing. Like there's nothing about happening tomorrow. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's weird to me if it's happening tomorrow. I Google it and there's no articles about it. But maybe it is. Okay, so look, again, I'm going to wrap up the stream, but we'll do if there's no big news tonight, I'm going to be doing a stream on my personal channel. No, read Israel. I don't think the Gaza stuff has anything to do with the change of prime minister. This march happened. The march happened. Gaza was going to do stuff in response, which they did, and then Israel was going to respond to that, which they did. That's regardless of who's prime minister. So no. I don't think there's been any big surprises today with what's happened with Israel and Gaza. So again, I will be on my personal channel if there's not big news tonight, and that's called Lookner on YouTube. Okay, I want to say thanks to our moderators because they are awesome. I really appreciate the moderators. They're all volunteers. Linda Belk has been moderating in Twitter. Thank you so much, Linda. Also, Sarah Joy, Melissa McQueen, Marcus Bell, Mark Helton, Lizzie, Sarah 55. They've all been moderating on YouTube. So thank you so much for being there. Our Twitch moderators, thank you. Duxor, Papa Bear, Tariag, and Sully. Thanks so much. Our viewer Eric Chambers said, any news on Israeli airstrikes? The news is go back and rewind to the beginning of the broadcast where I explained that I don't think it's that big news. Oh, Jeff Curry's around Atlanta. I was reading how there's been some more increased crime around the Atlanta area lately. That's a story for a different day, though. Jeff says, I went to school before you were born. There were no school shootings, no school mass shootings then. Janice Key Smith says, I thought they postponed the Chauvin sentencing. Again, I don't know. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thanks so much, Nan B. I appreciate that, Nan B. Thanks, Nan B, and everybody else who donated. That's very kind of you. You are the ones who let me do this full time, so I really appreciate it. If you do want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But that is very much appreciated. Thank you. And hang on a second here. Hang on. Thanks again to Brian Qualls for the Facebook stars. Much appreciated, Brian. And don't forget about the Discord. You can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air in the Agenda Free TV fans Discord. And also, that's the best way to get notified when I go on the air on my channels. If you sign up for the Discord, it's free. You get the best, most reliable notifications when I'm going on the air. So sign up for the Discord. It's free. The moderators can post the link to that Discord chat room. And also, if anybody's interested in being a volunteer moderator, that would be awesome. You can just ask the mods for more information on how to go about doing that. Sarah Joy says there are some evacuations over the fire in Vallejo. I will keep an eye on it. Okay, and hang on a second here. Thank you to you for watching, and thanks to all the lurkers as well, lurkers and chatters. So thanks to our viewers out there, including people like Jeff Curry, Nancy Brisk, Janice Key Smith, Sandy Zapp, June Cruz, Nicolette Geese, Betty Nelson, Helen Bemis, Brandon Cowell, Sama, Daniel Warren. Thank you for watching. Johnny Autonomous, hold the GME line. OG Jugs, 1, 2, 3, repeat. Raging Bull, Shaggy, Me Better Boop, Me Betty Boop, Danok, 11 Glowfly, Eddie Rux. Thank you all for watching. A Bondman, Ibash, DJ Romantics, Soylent Green, Barker Rar, Zooms. Thanks for watching too. Lucky Blackbird, Aries Pure, Darth Tater, Michelle R., Denise Horton, Aries Purk, Kimberly Barr, Tracy Johnson, Sing Neon Flatfoot, John Elliott, J. Marie, Carlos Rosa Realtor, Little Bird, Mike J., Anon Again, Margot, Rita's Real, Tony Del Monte, GK, Sean K., Sean TV, did I say C. Michelle Sparks? Sarah Maka, thank you for watching. All right. We are wrapping this up. So again, in a little bit, I'll be back on my personal channel, Lookner on YouTube. So check me out there. Mike Demore, thanks for watching too. And Dillamond and Mantronics. All right, guys, that is it for now. Thank you for watching this live stream and this live news roundup. I'm sure we'll be doing more. And Tammy, thanks for watching too. So that's it for now. I'll be back in a little bit on my personal channel to do a stream there, unless there's huge news, in which case I'd be back on Agenda Free TV. So, oh, and you can follow me on Twitter. I cover news when I'm not on the air. I cover news on my Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter. That's where to follow me on Twitter for breaking news coverage. There you go, at Lookner on Twitter. All right, I really appreciate you watching and all of the comments and questions. Thanks so much for participating with your comments and questions. Appreciate that as well. And we will see you soon with more live coverage here on Agenda Free TV and Agenda Free TV 2.